I'm Christine, and I've got some great drawing and painting ideas to share with you today. Let's get started. So here's an easy way to draw Celtic knots, whether you want to get in the spirit for St. Patrick's Day or if you just like all things Celtic. Here's a few examples of drawings in progress in one of my sketchbooks, just showing you some of the different ways you can apply this or practice it to come up with pretty ideas. And this is actually more of a four-leaf clover. That's not a Celtic knot. That one's not finished, obviously. This is a free-form sort of a style that I'm working on. You can use it to create or decorate fish or birds or animals. You can add color to your work. Here's a watercolor knot from a class I taught in the library recently. And these are some examples of ways to use Celtic knotwork to embellish circular things. Just found that online. You can use whatever kind of paper you want, lined paper or not. You can get as fancy as you want or not. Oh, and here's a picture of someone's artwork that I found online showing where they've kind of made an owl type of thing here and embellished it with Celtic line work, which I think is really gorgeous. But like I was saying, any kind of paper, you can use graph paper if you want, or you can make your own lines. It doesn't really matter. Drawing on lined paper, practicing a lot of these things on lined paper might give you a little bit more success, at least in the beginning. These are some things drawn by my husband, who's not really excited to do this, and he still got good results, so that should give you some encouragement. Let's see, this is what we're gonna have for our objective. A pretty round Celtic knot, which we're gonna add color to, and here's a picture from another one of my recent classes at the library where we made our Celtic knots into flowers. And let's get over to this page. First, we're going to draw the straight line version because that will get you familiarized with the plan. And this right here is something I found, this method, online some time back, and I kind of lost track of exactly where I got it from, so I can't tell you where that was. I did go looking for it and can't find it. But I have worked on it and improved on it a little bit and fixed it that it works for round. But right here, we're going to just work on this straight to start off with, and I have a pencil version drawn and a pen version drawn. I would encourage you to use a pencil to begin with. In case you make mistakes, you can erase, especially in the beginning when you're learning. Let me see if I can find the right pen here. Where is it? No, too small. Okay, I'm just going to use this micron pen, and it's in a larger size. They come in all different sizes. You can find them all over the place for size. It's just archival ink, and it's a size 1, and it's going to work good for making nice bold lines that you can see in my video. So that's the main reason I'm using this particular size. Use whatever you have. You can draw on lined school paper with a blue ballpoint if you want to. This right here is our first step. We're going to start from a zigzag line. Now I'm going to, oops, that's the wrong one. I'm enhancing the zigzag, the initial zigzag, like in step 1 over there, so that you can see it in the finished project. But I'm just going to go over these pencil lines one step at a time so that you can hopefully see what we're doing. But this zigzag, the initial zigzag, is going to stay present in the project the whole time. None of it is going to get erased. So I want you to see that once you draw that zigzag, there it is. It's in your, ignore that one little part that I drew wrong. Your zigzag is in your project from start to finish. And we're just going to add more lines to this simple zigzag, and you're going to end up with a really beautiful, intricate looking plan just from this zigzag. and we're not going to have to use math and make ourselves have a headache. One thing, you should probably get your zigzag as consistent as you can, but I don't want you to feel like you have to draw lines and measure dots and all like that. Just flop a ruler down and use that as a guide to draw your initial zigzag line, and you can place your points at the different spots along the ruler. I'm just going up and down, up and down, up and down, and the upstroke kind of ends in the vicinity of the half, like the 4.5, the 5.5, the 6.5. The down one comes to a point right where the numbers are on the ruler. And then I've got a nice, fairly consistent zigzag line going there that'll work great for our project. Now, we're ready to move on to step 2, which is adding curves along the top. These curves are going to be these curves right here. That's the curve line that we're talking about. Those in there. So that's step 2. Now we're going to put that on the zigzag we drew on the bottom, and I want you to see that the curve looks like an extension of that line. It comes up and curves back, and it does not go to the top of the next point, but rather it goes to a point a little bit down from that, about the width of one ribbon, and you aim for that point. And the reason why is because it's going to need to look like it extends under that ribbon and continues in a straight line. So what we'll do here is just go up from the top of there and then curve back and aim for that point, and stop before you get all the way to that line. Stop the width of a ribbon before you don't go the whole way, and aim for that point about a ribbon width down from the top of the point of that triangle. So we sort of have triangles pointing up and pointing down, if that helps you understand what I'm talking about. Now we're moving on to step 3, adding the curves on the bottom. So if you look where they are, and this might be a little confusing because I did draw that one line that I want you to ignore, but see how it's going to aim for a point about a ribbon width up from the downward pointing triangle. Hopefully that was clearer than mud. Let's do it again down here on the line where we don't have pencils lines drawn. So hopefully you can see exactly what I'm talking about. That point right there, about a ribbon width up from the point that points down, is where you want to aim for. But don't go all the way to that line, because you have to leave the width of the ribbon that's going to come along through there, because that's what we're drawing, a knot created out of ribbons, or lines that look like ribbons. So that is step 3 right there. Now looking at step 4 here, it says to draw echo lines. That line is going to echo the curve that you've already got going on there. It's going to just repeat the same curve as the line on the other side, because you're drawing the other side of the ribbon, the other edge. We drew the inner edge, now we're drawing the outer or the topmost edge, and so we just echo that curve or repeat that curve right up, around, and down. And you see, we're not going all the way back down to the point. We are heading in a line towards that, but stop before you get there, because the other line is going to come through there and create that ribbon. And then we do the same thing again on the bottom to create the echo. We draw echo lines to create the bottom ribbon. So that would be these lines right here. And you see how that looks like it would continue and make a ribbon that continues. It goes under there and over the next one. And then the next line that you draw comes around and creates a ribbon that goes under and then over. And so that line is continuing under then over. So that comes right along there and then goes in a way that would match up with that line up above there. So that is what you aim for when you're positioning your stopping and starting points on your lines that you're drawing. And that's why you need to be able to see those in your mind when you're drawing your curves in steps 2 and 3. And then presto, no math involved, we've drawn a really pretty Celtic knot. And it's a straight line or a border pattern, I think is what that's called. So now let's do that again on the bottom one that does not have the pencil lines already drawn. So back to step 4, we're going to make echo lines along the top. Okay, there's curves on the top and the bottom. We're going to make lines that echo those same curves and create ribbons. And don't forget to stop before you get all the way over there to that next line, so that you can allow for this line to come through and create that ribbon. Oops, that one's not lined up as good as it should, but it's going to pass. Once you've done this a little bit, you get the hang of it, and it's pretty easy. Okay, that looks good. Now we're going to do the bottom lines to create that bottom row of ribbons coming along there, sort of like braiding over, under, or weaving in and out. That's the best way of saying it. We're creating lines that weave in and out of each other. Or, well, anyway. So hopefully you can see how easy that is to do that in this nice straight border pattern. Then when you get over to the end, you have to figure out how to handle the end, and you've got 3 different ribbons coming out of there, so you can't just wrap them all together into themselves, because you can have one left over. And I usually just make it into a little curved thing coming out. And I'm going to curve it right up there. I want to do this one a little bit different than the one, my examples above though. I've got this curling coming like in a downward pattern, and then this part circles around, and so our loose end comes out in a downward direction. Let me finish that off right there. It almost looks like, well, the part I'm talking about is that part that kind of looks like a handlebar mustache. Now I want to make this end match that. Instead of on my examples up above there, I have the rounded part up above going down, and I want to make this one going up so that my extra piece will come out in the downward swing like on the other end. Thinking about what I got to do. You have to think about it so you can get it to come out like you want it. Let's see, that one's up and that one's down. I want both of these to be down. I don't know which. Let me draw this. Okay, I know that's how I want that to go. And oops. Crash and burn. I forgot to think about my over-under pattern, so I did that wrong. But well, see how I did it wrong. but not to fear, I can fix it. A little bit of oil pastel covers that right up, or some white out or something, or you can put color on it. Don't let yourself be frustrated if you make a mistake. Mistakes are part of the creative process. Just fix it and let's move on. So now we're going to move on to the round version. So we're going to start with a zigzag line, but it's going to be in a circle. And then we're going to do all the same steps. Add curves, add echo lines, add echo lines. So let's get a clean piece of paper to start with. Clear off my workspace a little bit here. Okay, you're going to need to start with a guide to do your initial ring of dots, so your zigzag line that goes in a circle will be even. And I've just got a little metal washer here that I picked up at the hardware store. It's great for this. And I'm just equally spacing dots all around the outside of it. And presto, that part's done. Now I'm going to put more dots, and I'm going to make an outer ring of dots. The way I'm going to do that, I don't want to make it too small, because if you want to start out, when you're starting out, start big, because too small, your lines get too close together, it gets too tight. It can be pretty later on, but start bigger so you don't get confused. Now, in between those dots and out 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch, we're going to put another dot, and I'm just going to go all the way around and space some dots out around there. I'm going to end up with the same number of dots, but they're going to be centered between the dots on the other one, and then we just connect the dots to make a zigzag line that goes around in a circle and is commonly called a star. This is an 8-pointed star because we made 8 dots. The reason that's important is because the different numbers of dots are going to change the end appearance of your project. And I'm going to make one over here that has 6 points, just so I can show you the difference. So let me get these dots all drawn. I just start with the top and bottom dot, and then I equally space some more dots around there. And then again, put the second row, or the outer ring of dots. And that one is 6 dots, so it's going to be a 6-pointed star. And actually, let me do one more up in this corner. I'm going to make a 5-pointed one, because every time you change the number of dots, it changes the appearance of your end result. So here's 5 dots, and yes, I know it's a 5-pointed star. It's gonna be okay. You know who you are if you're worried about that. And also, my cell phone camera is going in and out of focus. I can't make it stop. I'm sorry. I don't know why it's doing that. I think it might be overheating. I'm going to get better at this videoing and drawing and painting at the same time, so please be patient with me. Anyway, let's go back over here and draw our curved lines. Step 2, draw the curved lines on the top of these zigzag points. And you do that just like you did for the straight line. We're just doing it in a circle now. So that's the line we're working on, that curve right up at the top there. So you make like an extension of that line up and around, and come back about a width of 1 ribbon back from the top of the point, and go right around there like that. Oops. Got to turn the page around to keep from getting confused. But make those curves all the way around. got step 2 done. Now we're moving to step 3. We've got to do those curves on the inside. And the way you want to do that, look here, there, just that little bitty curve right there. And you want to make it go in a line that's going to look like it's that line that continues the outer edge of those outside curves. So you want to start, you want to start at the bottom of a point, but you're going to go up to that next line and go aim for a point that is about 1 ribbon width up from the point, from that next point that you're going to. And do that all the way around. And that's just what we did on the straight line version. We've just translated it into the curved version. Now we're going to put these outer echo lines. And again, I'm sorry that my camera won't stay in focus. I can't make it stop doing that. I don't know why. I'm going to be working on that before I make my next video. I promise you. So here's these lines coming around here. Just go right from one point to the next in a nice line. I mean, like, you know, looking like one line is continuing and coming around and stopping before you get to the line, but lining up so that it would, if it continued, it would intersect with, or not intersect, it would run right into the line on the other side there. Let me just close these bits up here. Then we're going to do the inner line the same way. If it helps you, you can pause the video and make a screenshot of that little guide that I was holding up there. But this is what you do to finish this off. You just extend those last lines right across there, following that other line and heading off over to where it looks like it goes under that next ribbon. Voila, done. Looks pretty, doesn't it? Let's do the 6-pointed one next so I can show you the comparison between the different number of dots and show you the difference that it makes in your project. So again, step 2 is draw these curved lines. Turn your paper so you don't get confused. I think all this moving around must be what's making my cell phone camera go in and out of focus. Sorry about that. Hopefully you can still see what we're doing. Now do the inside or bottom lines, curves. And don't forget, go up to a point that's about 1 ribbon width up from the bottom there, 1 ribbon width. And then also you stop 1 ribbon width away from the line. Then we make our echo lines. Echoing the shape of that curve that we've already got going there. My husband says those look like J's. So if you want to draw J's instead of echo lines, have at it. Continuing right around on those inner lines, and you can see that line would just come over and under and over and stop. So that line goes there, stops, and comes out the other side and follows that curve around and stops. one's done too. Let's get the 5-pointed one done quickly also. And then I'm going to add some color. Forgot to turn the page. And I drew it off the wrong direction because I got confused because I didn't turn the page around. So always turn the page around when you're doing the round ones so you don't get confused. Okay, now the inside curves. And then we start the echo lines. There's less lines on this 5-pointed one, so it's a little bit easier to see how these lines come around and line up with the previous lines we already put there. This one's not exactly like I want it to be, but it's gonna work. Inside lines to finish it off. And there you go. Easy peasy. Done. Now let me add some color so you can see it will emphasize the difference between these different number of points. This one is 8 points, and I'm just going to color purple all the way around until I kind of get close to the purple again. So get back over here in the vicinity of the purple, and I'm going to switch colors just so you can see it more clearly. And I'm not really trying to color a masterpiece here, I just want to emphasize the difference that you get when you change and vary up the number of points on your initial star or zigzag line. So you can see this is one continuous loop all the way around. Now let's do the 6-pointed one, and you're going to see right away this is not a continuous loop. That's one loop there. Switching to this orangey color, that shows us that's another loop. And then the white one, I'll leave that uncolored for now, but that's 3 loops kind of interlocked together. Now here on this 5-pointed one, just going to add color to that, and you'll see this is also one continuous loop. And just by putting this color on here is just to help bring that out to you so you can see it real more clearly. So the 5-point is one continuous loop, the 8-point is one continuous loop, and the 6-point was 3 interlocking loops. You can do a 12-point thing, and that comes out with a different shaped interlocking loop. It makes 3 interlocking, and they're different shape than that, and it's really pretty. But there you go. That is how you draw these circular Celtic knots. Don't forget to start off with some type of a guide to keep your initial circle of dots. You can find those things all over the house too. I could use the top rim of this pencil cup or even the bottom rim. Any number of things all over your house, you'll find you've got a guide to get your initial circle of dots drawn there. Also, don't forget, don't draw them too small for your first efforts because your dots will be really tightly close together and it'll be easier to get confused that way. So start out big and then gradually work down smaller so that you can get your itself really good and familiar. Now if you're worried about that big open center, let's flip back to my other, my drawing of the Celtic Knot flowers. And show you can fill in that center easily with a decorative pattern of any kind. I used some of the patterns like that I found online, and then some I just made up a pattern. So you can fill that in easily, so you don't need to worry about having a big empty spot in the middle. Just fill it in with something else nice until you get where you can draw them smaller and tighter. Let's look back at the, let me show you this real quick. This is where I connected the lines in a different way and came up with a different kind of unique center on that. So that's something you can do when you've just been playing around with it for a while. But here's one I want to show you where I've got the center a little bit tighter and this one even a little bit tighter. And you can see it's pretty and decorative, but it is easy to get confused. So start out working with the large center, fill it in with some pretty pattern or something. And you can put the straight line border pattern around the outside. These obviously are not finished, but that's my plan, to make a border around the outside there. So I hope you enjoyed drawing with me today, and that you'll come back and draw and paint again another time. If you have questions or requests, leave me a comment below. Otherwise, click like and subscribe, and I hope to see you again next time. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching.